Are you serious? Are you serious? I hope you're getting a cup of coffee. We have a prophecy alert, and you'll want to get a Bible because I'll be in Psalms 83. But this is really a strange twist. I never expected this one, and I don't think it will work. But here's what's going on. The Sanhedrin court, of course, the Sanhedrins, have called on Israel's greatest enemy to follow tradition and help them build the third temple on the Temple Mount. Are you serious? Well, here's what's going on. The Sanhedrin has turned a dispute between the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the Iranian Foreign Minister into an opportunity to invite Israel's greatest enemy to help build the third temple. This offer is not nearly as preposterous as some may think, and has an undeniable precedent that the Iranian minister is quite proud to admit. The international spat began, folks, 2 weeks ago during Purim, when Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu attended a reading of the book of Esther at a synagogue near his home in Caesarea. While discussing the biblical story with children in attendance, he assured them, today too, they're trying to kill us, referring to in Persia, he said. Today, they're also not going to succeed. Now, the Iranian foreign minister, Javed Zarif, heard of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's comments, and he took umbrage at his country being portrayed as the villain. Zarif responded to the Israeli Prime Minister via Twitter, accusing him of fake history and falsifying the Torah. Now, and they did it with a tweet. The Iranian minister then went on to claim that his country had saved the Jews 3 times throughout history. Zarif gave a distorted version of the book of Esther, claiming that the hero was the Persian king and not the Jews, Esther and Mordecai. Zarif also reminded Netanyahu that it was King Cyrus, a Persian king, who had facilitated the Jews' building of the second temple. And that's true. And so the Sanhedrins chose to see this exchange as an opening and an affirmation of Iran national pride in helping the Jews build the temple. The rabbinical court sent a letter to Foreign Minister Zarif inviting him to manifest this historic Persian mission. Quote, "We are overjoyed to hear of your references to the wonderful and unique chapter in our nation's history in which King Cyrus, king of Persian Empire, he was a king of the Persian Empire, gave his permission for the building of the Jewish temple in Jerusalem. It is also recognized that he aided the project by returning the holy vessels that were taken from Solomon's temple by the Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar." Now, you know the story that the first temple, Solomon's temple, was destroyed in 586 BC by the Babylonians, and they stole all of the holy vessels, the golden vessels, all of this. They stole them from the temple of the Lord. That was King Nebuchadnezzar. King Cyrus returned all of those vessels and put his blessing on Israel, returning home and rebuilding their temple. It is understood from your statements that you support the actions of King Cyrus and that your country supports the establishment of a temple on Mount Moriah even today. We invite you to open the dialogue regarding this. We would be happy to hear your response on this invitation. Even Rabbi Weiss, spokesman for the Sanhedrin, said that they were optimistic that the relations between Israel and Iran could change drastically for the better. Quote, we respect the foreign minister and his sincere intentions he expressed in regards to the temple. Rabbi Weiss told Breaking Israeli News, the dialogue here should be one based on religion and mutual respect and not exclusively based on political interests. And he said, we have historically cooperated in this endeavor, And if it is needed as important to the Iranians as it was to their predecessors, there's no reason why we can't cooperate in building the third temple. What? Now, despite the Sanhedrin's sincere goodwill, it is unlikely, folks, that Iran will accept Israel's overtures. For either side to do so would be a reversal of 2 decades of hostility. Though ancient Persia was friendly toward its Jewish population, at that time, very sizable Jewish population, modern Iran can hardly be seen as a friend of Israel. And in the early days of the nation of Israel, the Jewish state, Iran was the second Muslim majority country to recognize its sovereignty, but relations turned bitter after the Iranian Revolution of 1979. Some of you may remember that. That's when the Shah of Iran was overthrown, and all diplomatic ties with Israel were severed. This process, that's because the Ayatollah Ali Khomeini took over, and now it is literally a radical Shiite nation with apocalyptic eschatology as part of their belief. Now, this process has accumulated into an open hostility typified by the words of Israel must be wiped off the earth, printed on an Iranian missile used in a test back in March of last year. And they have said it numerous times. So if the Sanhedrin's offer of friendship was to bear fruit, it would truly be a miracle if Iran helped usher in the third temple. Well, let me remind you what the Bible says in Psalms 83. And we've heard these words literally out of the mouth of not only the Ayatollah Ali Khomeini, the supreme leader of Iran, but even the former president, Maud Ahmadinejad, would say this repeatedly. And this is what Psalms 83 said they would say. Keep not thou silence, O God, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thy enemies have made a turmoil, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. This is in the Bible. And this is David writing here. And some say this isn't David writing. Okay. But the facts are this. We have a biblical prophecy here of a day would come when they would say these words. Some even call it the Psalms 83 war. Well, one thing's for sure, we've heard these words spoken. We know this is deep within the heart of many. But is it possible? I mean, this would truly be a miracle. You talk about a miracle. If Iran was to somehow have a change in their political and religious thought process and decided, instead of destroying Jerusalem, trying to create chaos and misery, if they decided to help the temple be built to try to bring about better relationship in the Muslim world with the Jewish world and Christians, it would be phenomenal change of pace. It'd be an absolute miracle, really. So I don't know. I don't think so. We'll follow the biblical narrative. The prophecies are in place. It's not just only, remember, Haman. In the story of Esther and Mordecai, it was Haman who wanted to set up and kill all the Jews. It was Haman from Persia, and that's what he wanted to do. I'll be back with more current world events and how they relate to biblical prophecy. This is a fascinating story. I'll put the link below. It's at the Breaking Israeli News. Very fascinating story. Things that are happening in these last days. Give your life to Jesus Christ. Calm down. We're living in the last days. Are you saved?